What's going on, guys? Today we look at Watch Dogs 2 and talk about 5 things that contributed to the failure of the game. Watch Dogs 2 was released in November and I've never seen a game decline so fast. I mean, this is Gears of War Judgment fail. This is going out with the girl and getting denied when you go in for the kiss fail. I mean, this is, well, you guys get where I'm going with this. So let's take a look at 5 critical things that caused Watch Dogs 2 to fail so miserably. One thing that contributed to the failure of the overall game is the terrible enemy AI system. There's something really special about the AI in Watch Dogs 2. I mean, seriously. Really special. We all know this game is supposed to be based around stealth, and the enemy AI makes that difficult to accomplish. Now honestly, these guys were the most aware enemy ever. These guys did things that I just did not understand. When the enemy found something suspicious, sure, they would search around the area, which is what they were supposed to do, but only for a short time, and after that, they went back to their normal routine, regardless of how severe that suspicious activity was. They would hear a noise, and they would search, and then after that, go back to normal. They find an opening that is not supposed to be there, they did absolutely nothing. When they came across a dead body, they would search for a little bit, and then go back to normal, as if there isn't a freaking body laying in the corner right in front of them. A lot of developers believe in the standard enemy AI, and it would be nice to see something different instead of an expected response that an enemy AI is gonna give you. It would be cool to see a game that had an enemy AI system with different reaction levels based on what the player did and how noticeable and severe the player's actions were. For example, if an enemy AI sees a shattered window, they should notice it automatically if they walk past it, and it should make him suspicious and more aware of his surroundings. It doesn't have to be anything major, but an obvious change in his demeanor should happen. Maybe after finding a broken window, he should walk a little slower and look around more often. Or he could possibly check rooms that are near him, or even go into cover and move slowly down the hallway with his weapon ready to fire if he sees anything else suspicious. Or what if an enemy AI sees a dead body? Of course, the standard response would be to alert the others to what he found. But here's where the problem begins. After the enemy AI searches for a few minutes, they just stop. I mean, who does that? I'm not saying they need to have this over-the-top response, but it would be nice to see a change in how they handle themselves. Maybe after they discover the dead body, and once they're done searching, they should patrol in pairs now, or have to check in using their walkie-talkies every 5 to 10 minutes. And if one of the enemies do not respond, the rest of them should heighten their awareness and change how they patrol. It keeps the situation fresh and keeps the player on their toes. But of course, the only thing you have in Watch Dogs 2 is that the enemies underreact or overreact, and there's no real originality. The enemy AI in this game is useless. You can literally kill one of them, and it is a 50-50 toss-up of how they'll react. They'll either come over and search for a few minutes and do nothing else, or a body will literally be laying in their line of sight and they do absolutely nothing. It's the inconsistency and lack of originality that made the enemy AI in Watch Dogs 2 unbearable. Now let's talk about the empty gameplay. The game had tons of in-game activities, and I had some fun, but it was nothing to remember. It's like that chick that you go out with and leave in the morning and you never return. You never call her or anything. I felt absolutely nothing for this game. This game didn't make me feel like I needed to take down Blume or stop the antagonist at all. There were no compelling missions. Even when Horatio was killed, that whole mission just didn't make any sense. Instead of feeling sad or angry when he was killed, I found myself asking, where in the hell does this game fit into the story? And why would they kill anyone in Dedsec? I really felt like Horatio died for nothing at all. There was no emotional connection to Satara, not even Marcus, or any of the characters. Now, each character had their own style, yes, but there's no substance. And when I think of a video game, it's supposed to draw you in and put you on the edge of your seat and give you that emotional connection to the overall game and to the characters. But Watch Dogs 2 did none of that, and I hate to say it, but this entire game had no substance at all. It was basically an empty game that you play to pass the time. Nothing more, nothing less. Another aspect to the game that contributed to Watch Dogs 2 failure is the limited and boring multiplayer activities. Now don't get me wrong, compared to the original Watch Dogs 2 improved the multiplayer a lot, but not enough to make anyone notice. Now sure, they added a couple of new activities, but they were boring and uneventful. The multiplayer activities showcased the same thing. Hack this, hack that guy. Oh, go and hack that girl. There's literally no variety. You couldn't add a few car chases where we have to hack into the traffic lights and pipelines to stop the enemy. Anything would have been better than what they offered us. The repetitive multiplayer missions leave nothing to the imagination, and honestly, it only adds disappointment to the nothingness of what Watch Dogs 2 has to offer. If the developers decided to leave out the multiplayer, you wouldn't have even noticed at all. Seriously guys, it's nothing to be amazed about. That's assuming you can actually access the multiplayer, which brings me to my next reason why Watch Dogs 2 failed. The multiplayer glitches and unavailability is unbearable. When I first bought the game, I was excited to see what the multiplayer was going to offer, but once I downloaded the game, I was told that the multiplayer was not available. That means the game was not complete when Ubisoft released it, and once again, the people who paid full price for the game, they got the short end of the deal. I don't understand how Ubisoft got away with selling Watch Dogs for $60, even though they brought an incomplete game to the market. I'm so sick of companies in the gaming industry releasing incomplete games and selling them for full price, and on top of that, they have the nerve to make DLCs for the game and charge us even more money. It's a practice that should not be happening. Now let's talk about the number one reason why Watch Dogs 2 failed. The campaign was terrible. It offers nothing to the player. In fact, it seems like the story was thrown together by the writers at the last minute. I honestly feel like the developers put so much emphasis on the side missions and activities that they completely forgot about the development of the storyline. Now I don't know if they simply didn't want to waste the money on giving the writers extra time to complete the story, or if the writers were lazy when it came to creating a storyline for the campaign. Either way, the campaign was bland, unimaginative, and worst of all, it was worse than the original Watch Dogs. Let's not talk about the ending that they chose. It was terrible. I mean, at least they could have written this epic final showdown between Dedsec and Blume, but no, they chose the worst way for the story to end. I feel as if I didn't save San Francisco from anything. Yes, Blume was exposed, but what ultimately happened to the company? You really walk away from the campaign with more questions and disappointment. And honestly, video game developers are beginning to think that if they put an online mode into a game, they can slack off on the story and still keep the player happy. But this is a great example of how a bad campaign can ruin the entire video game. Now I know that there's a fine line between story versus multiplayer, and the developers have a strict budget to stick to when creating video games. I know it costs a lot of money to make these type of games, but you have to find that balance. You cannot neglect the story and cover it up with side missions and activities and hope that the players will ignore your huge mistake, especially when a video game like Watch Dogs 2 is supposed to be campaign based. I would have taken a great story over useless side missions and a broken multiplayer, and hopefully video game developers will realize this and come up with a better formula when creating new video games. Bad story, glitchy multiplayer with limited and boring co-op missions, the empty gameplay, and the terrible enemy AI systems are the reasons why Watch Dogs 2 failed to appeal to players and keep the players interested in the game in general. Honestly guys, game developers have to do better. That's gonna be it for this one today guys. If you enjoyed the video, thank you so much for the support. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the comments about Watch Dogs 2. Let me know what you think about it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it okay, or were you just not interested in the game? I would love to hear you guys' opinion. Until next time guys, I'll see you in the next video.